Ms. Patel's sixth-period psychology class had 16 students, 15 desks, and one guiding principle. Experiment first, theorize later. We'd spent the semester testing inattentional blindness with guys in gorilla suits and measuring memory decay with endless grocery item lists. So when she announced the next assignment, the social life of rumor, everyone perked up. Nothing felt quite as deliciously irresponsible as passing a lie through the veins of the school just to watch it mutate. We began by designing the rumor the way a film crew storyboards a thriller. It had to be specific enough to stick, but vague enough to travel. Riley suggested a phantom freshman who'd vanished in the 70s, but Cassidy said missing kids were cliché. I proposed a staff member because authority figures carried built-in menace. Eventually, we braided the ideas together. Grant High's old auditorium, locked since the renovation, a maintenance man no one ever hired, red scarf around his throat, keys that jingled like bone wind chimes, and a tidy moral: talk in the theater after hours and he'll collect your regret, snipping it from your chest like a seam ripper. Ms. Patel merely smiled, noting dates and phrases on the whiteboard. "Tomorrow," she said, "the rumor is born. Track its spread. Write down each variation faithfully. No interfering except to observe." The next morning, we planted our seed. Riley left handwritten notes in bathroom stalls. "Have you heard the janitor's keys?" I whispered to the sophomore I tutored in algebra. Clara recorded a grainy tick-tock set outside the auditorium doors, audio full of phantom jingles. The machinery of school gossip took over with gratifying speed. By lunch, freshman table C was arguing about whether the scarf was red or orange. Rumors are supposed to morph, but ours metastasized. By Thursday, people insisted they'd seen dusty footprints on the stage. On Friday, the custodian, Mr. Hollis, stormed into the main office demanding to know who kept calling him Caldwell, a name we'd invented. "I don't even own a red scarf," he complained, waving a blue shop rag like evidence. The lie was thriving without us. The real shift happened the following Tuesday, when Emily Larson fainted during choir rehearsal. She gasped afterward about a man standing in the backstage shadows, face hidden, keys clinking. The nurse blamed low blood sugar. Emily blamed Caldwell. At our daily debrief, Ms. Patel adjusted her glasses. "Fascinating intersection of suggestion and perception," she said, but I noticed her knuckles whitening around the attendance clipboard. I tried to stay clinical, yet unease toddled behind me like a younger sibling. Heading to debate practice, I heard metallic chimes echo down the empty art wing hall. It was probably someone shaking coins in a pocket, but my pulse didn't care about probability. Riley confessed he'd started keeping the rumor alive on purpose, dropping hints whenever chatter slowed. "We need data," he insisted. "Let it breathe." That night, I dreamt of an auditorium door yawning open, red fabric floating in its dark mouth. When I woke, my phone slapped me with 30 new notifications, a photograph of a scarf draped over seat B12, shaky footage of a key ring rocking on the conductor's podium, anonymous DMs asking if I'd heard the sound that wasn't a sound. Wednesday morning, Ms. Patel asked to see me during free period. Her office smelled of dry erase marker and peppermint tea. She closed the door carefully, as though rumor might push its nose in. "Jamie, you've documented more instances than anyone. Honest opinion, are students staging these incidents?" "I thought so, but some things don't fit. Who would leave a scarf none of us owns?" Ms. Patel tapped her pen, a rapid heartbeat of plastic. "Ideas can possess people, but they don't come alive. Keep separating anecdote from evidence." I promised I would, but the world outside her office was already blurring the two. By Friday, the auditorium was off limits again, this time by administrative decree, which only fertilized belief. Lunchtime buzz turned electric. Caldwell's face had been seen reflected in the trophy case glass. Caldwell's keys were rattling HVAC ducts. Caldwell's scarf trailed from the flagpole until teachers yanked it down. Every story ended with, "No, seriously, my cousin's lab partner saw it." After school, Riley, Cassidy, and I stood behind the cafeteria loading dock debating whether we'd birthed a tulpa. The Tibetan thought form said to coagulate from imagination. Riley, freshly devouring Wikipedia, argued that mass belief could imprint on the physical. Cassidy laughed, a brittle sound. "You're both off your meds. Somebody's pulling pranks." Lights flickered in the faculty parking lot. The clang of metal ricocheted off dumpsters. Clang, pause, clang, clang. Keys, or maybe the custodian unlocking a shed. But the air felt weighted, like the whole campus inhaled and held its breath. Saturday's homecoming dance guaranteed the rumor an audience of 500. Decorations included a red and white theme, unfortunate color choice given Caldwell's accessory. The chaperones patrolled for spiked punch. Students patrolled for ghosts, phone cameras holstered. I went mostly to monitor the experiment, notebook tucked into my blazer pocket. At 9:17 p.m., the music cut out mid-chorus. Emergency lights glowed blood red. The gym doors boomed shut. Someone screamed before realizing nothing terrible had actually happened yet. Then a jingle, unmistakable as a ringtone you can't unhear, rolled across the hardwood. Every head pivoted toward the bleachers. He materialized the way fog solidifies under street lamps. Outlines first, then texture. An older man in coveralls dusty as chalk erasers, scarf bright and fluttering despite windless air. His keyring bounced against his hip, each loop etched with small glinting teeth. I could see him. So could half the student body, if their shrieks were proof. Our collective nightmare was no longer only rumor. He lifted a finger to where his lips should be. Silence slammed down. The PA crackled alive, and a voice built from layered whispers filled the gym. "I am what you say I am." Cassidy, tears streaking mascara, whispered, "Jamie, please tell me this is augmented reality." "It's not," I said, notebook trembling. The paper absorbed my sweat, curling like autumn leaves. Caldwell stepped forward. Wood planks underfoot warped with each stride. Lights dimmed as if feeding his approach. Where he passed, banners browned and flaked into dust. He wasn't killing students. The entity seemed more interested in ingesting the room's awe, inhaling every startled breath. I felt something tug inside my chest, as though he were searching for the regret his legend promised. Then the power returned. Caldwell blurred, outlines smearing like pastel in rain, and vanished. The DJ restarted Beyoncé. People half laughed, half sobbed. Someone yelled, "Sick projection, bro," as though labeling it could retrofit safety. But Monday's absentee list bulged, with names too rattled to return. Our class met during first period, the only island of order amid campus hysteria. Ms. Patel's smile was gone, replaced by a thin horizontal line. "We owe the school an explanation," she said, "preferably one that prevents further panic." "We owe them an exorcism," Cassidy muttered. Riley, eyes bloodshot from reading forums, declared, "He's feeding on belief. The more people talk, the stronger he gets." "That's a convenient mythology," Ms. Patel said, yet her pen drummed again. "Let's approach methodically. Jamie, walk us through Saturday's timeline." As I recounted details, Clara interjected with phone footage. Every student that saw it gasped. The video showed empty bleachers, no man, no scarf. Just our faces, upturned in terror at nothing. Belief didn't imprint on CMOS sensors, apparently. Proof was useless. Memories were sovereign. Caldwell had stepped out of rumor into perception, and perception resisted rebuttal. Principal Harding demanded we halt the project. "You've got kids refusing lockers because they jingle," he barked at Ms. Patel. "Fix this." The district scheduled an emergency assembly to quell hysteria. Ms. Patel invited our class to craft a presentation dissecting cognitive bias and mass suggestion. "We'll vaccinate them with truth," she said, but the slump of her shoulders questioned her own prescription. That afternoon I stayed late, analyzing data. Graphs showed rumor velocity spiking whenever new sightings circulated. Correlation curved into causation. Caldwell appeared most vividly at moments of shared expectation. He was an echo chamber's deity, sculpted from confirmation. A scraping noise grated behind me. The classroom door, locked, creaked open anyway. Keys clanged softly. I turned, each vertebra clicking ice. He stood half-formed in fluorescent gloom, scarf burning like a wound. The overhead projector sputtered and flared, casting numbers across his jumpsuit. "You made me," his whisper layered from dozens of familiar voices. Teachers, upperclassmen, the freshmen I tutored, and so I am. I backed toward the window. "You're fiction." Fiction with audience becomes fact. Keys rattled, a punctuation mark. "Tell more, believe more." "I won't. Others will." His silhouette expanded, swallowing the whiteboard until only a chalk dust crescent remained. Then he evaporated, the way a dream scurries from waking light. I found Ms. Patel in the library, slumped over microfiche reels. She listened, jaw clenched. "If mass belief fuels him," she said, "then mass disbelief should starve him." She outlined a plan. Use the assembly not merely to educate but to discredit. Show students inconsistencies. Expose planted clues. Confess fabrication. She printed every draft note, every planning email, ready to scatter evidence like salt across rumor's soil. But there was risk. Even addressing Caldwell acknowledged him. Exposure might double his calories. I thought of the old paradox. Don't think of a pink elephant. The assembly convened Wednesday in the gym Caldwell had invaded. Rows of folding chairs faced a projector screen. Security officers took posts, radios crackling louder than necessary. The student body pulsed with nervous laughter, like passengers on a shaky flight. Ms. Patel stepped to the podium first. "We began a controlled study," she said, voice steady. Slides showed our brainstorming notes, Riley's bathroom tags, Clara's TikTok. Gasps cascaded around us. She dissected each alleged sighting, citing video angles, timestamps, psychological principles. Skepticism flickered across faces, but so did defiance. I could almost see Caldwell perched on the rafters, sampling doubt and devotion in equal bites. Then Principal Harding gestured to me. Heart-hammering, I addressed the microphone. "Everything was fabricated. There is no maintenance man named Caldwell. The auditorium door creaks because humidity warps the frame. The jingling keys," I held up a tiny Bluetooth speaker, "were sound effects." A murmur spread, brittle as dry leaves. For some, relief bloomed. For others, anger. And under that emotional shuffle, a hush thickened, the kind made of collective holding breath. The lights snapped off. Keys rang overhead, cascading like ice cubes in a metal bowl. The scoreboard digits glowed crimson. When my eyes adjusted, he was already descending the bleachers, scarf unfurling. Disbelief wasn't enough. We'd starved him of one meal only to serve another. Outrage, fear, contradiction. Any attention nourished him. Chairs skittered as students stampeded. Caldwell advanced, thriving. Banners wilted again. Basketballs in the corner deflated with cartoonish wheezes. Ms. Patel clutched her flash drive like a broken talisman. "We need a different strategy," she yelled over the key storm. "Withdraw the story entirely. Silence it." "How?" I shouted. "Create a stronger narrative, one where he can't exist." Truth alone wasn't potent. It had to be compelling. An idea stronger than Caldwell, that our words were ours to retract. I vaulted the podium, snatching the mic's cable to yank it free. Feedback howled, a primal screech drowning keys. "Listen," I roared, voice magnified by leftover static. "Caldwell's only here because we invited him. Forget him now. Picture this gym empty. No keys, no scarf, nothing." I closed my eyes deliberately, modeling the action. "Say it," I commanded. "Nothing." A few voices echoed. "Nothing." More joined, ragged choir building. Caldwell paused mid-stride, limbs flickering like bad film frames. "Remember a blank stage," I said. "Boards unwarped, light steady. Believe in that. Believe harder than you ever believed in him." Chants swelled. Blank stage, blank stage. Students squeezed eyes shut, arms linked to keep balance amid darkness. Belief rewired on the fly, synaptic vines ripping away from Caldwell and grafting into vacancy. Keys hit the floor with a dull scatter. When lights returned, the scarf lay alone where he'd stood. Just cloth, no wind to stir it. The air felt lighter, as if someone had repaired a leak in the universe's gravity. Emergency crews herded students outside. Ms. Patel and I sat on the gym steps, exhaustion pooling at our feet. Sirens dopplered by. News vans parked like vultures. "It worked," I said, voice twanged tight. "For now," she answered. "Ideas rarely die, they hibernate." The district canceled classes for 2 days. Rumor, under quarantine, lost its meal tickets. Social media pivoted to football scores and cafeteria drama. Caldwell memes popped up but carried no dread, just parody, the kind of laughing that defangs a nightmare by handing it clown shoes. On Sunday, I returned to campus with Ms. Patel to retrieve leftover experiment materials. The auditorium door rested on new hinges, squeakless. We stepped inside. Dust motes drifted through sunlight, ordinary and slow. No footprints on stage, no chill in the wings. Yet halfway up the aisle, seat B12 was folded down, as if welcoming a late arrival. I pressed the cushion, nothing mystical, just foam. Still, a whisper brushed my ear, a sigh of auditorium air or the ghost of a ghost. I reminded myself, absence is the truest data point. Ideas live where attention lives, and I had homework asking for mine elsewhere. I flipped the seat upright. Metal clacked, final key in a lock. Outside, wind rattled a chain on the flagpole, harmless silver chimes against morning blue. I told myself the sound came from physics, not from belief. I told myself again, and kept walking, determined not to look back.